Hello everyone and welcome to my Millennial Midlife Crisis gaming channel. I have been absent for more than a year and I didn't want to end 2024 without a single upload. So I thought, why not quickly talk about what I'm literally doing right now? And that, at the moment, is Delta Force, a free-to-play shooter that is very clearly aspiring to take a big chunk of cake out of the Battlefield franchise. As a fan of this franchise since its very first game, I was very interested in Delta Force. Now that I'm playing it, I'm a little conflicted. Let me tell you why. Keep in mind before I say anything, the game is in open beta, so things are apparently and hopefully subject to change. Let me start by mentioning some of the stuff I really liked. The first one being that it does capture parts of the Battlefield experience really well. Being part of a team and assaulting and clearing an enemy position is very cool.
50% on our operational goals. We're leading the charge.
Jumping in a vehicle and racking up an impressive amount of kills also feels really good.
Bravo is under attack.
There is an impressive variety of armaments to use, each with their own unlocks and customization, and the weapons feel really good to use and offer lots of variety in each class. I gotta give extra props for the handy shooting range that not only is readily available from the main menu with minimum load time, but also allows you to try out weapons you haven't unlocked yet. Honestly, I don't know why this isn't a feature in all games of this kind. Sniping in particular is a highlight. This has always been my #1 favorite thing to do in these games since Bad Company 2, and it's nice to see that not only is it still satisfying, but that I also still got it.
Come this way!
Sector Bravo is under...
Hey yo, lesson here, babe. You come at the king, you best not miss.
control. Objective Bravo was captured by...
The game looks pretty good. You could say it looks great taking into account its free-to-play nature, and also runs very well. The draw distance is a bit crappy at times. You can tell precisely when sniping actually that the models start to look quite rough from afar. The progression in general feels well paced and does not seem to have any sort of shenanigans related to microtransactions. The developers said so in an interview some time ago, and I can now confirm that there doesn't seem to be any form of pay to win in the game. All the monetization comes from the obnoxious elephant in the room that I'll get to in a minute. And that is mostly it. This is a competently made game that also happens to be very fun and addictive. At the moment it does scratch that Battlefield itch I get from time to time, and while I wouldn't say it does so perfectly, I am currently hooked on it nonetheless. Also, how can you compete with free? In fact, why am I making this video at all, if you can just go and play the game? Well, I might as well finish and explain my conflicting thoughts. The main issue I have with Delta Force is a very simple question. Why Battlefield 2042? This game is not only very clearly trying to take on Battlefield, it's trying to specifically be Battlefield 2042. To the point of mockery, I would say. I honestly don't know why. I don't know if it is one company trying to show the legendary developer and shady publisher that they can make their game and give it away for free. I have no idea. But if you're coming after Battlefield, a franchise that as far as I'm concerned only has 2 so-and-so games and 1 stinker, why choose that one failed game? Everything from the setting, the UI, the character design, the gameplay elements, they have actively chosen to not just copy Battlefield, but copy the worst Battlefield, and I genuinely find it baffling. In my video of 2042, I mostly concluded that it was a fine game that could be very enjoyable, provided you could ignore just how far the franchise had fallen. Unsurprisingly, Delta Force has many of the unenjoyable features of 2042, chief of which being the operators.
In the pipe, 5x4!
Cringe. There's no other word for it. This makes me cringe. It's embarrassing.
Now, I really don't want most of this video to be old man yells at clouds, but back in my day, games that tried to portray a war zone actually made you feel like you were in a war zone. I remember playing Bad Company 2, going into a house and hearing my enemies speaking Russian on the top floor, and once I got a look at them, they looked like the enemy. Each faction had its own uniforms, language, weapons, and vehicles. Nowadays, these games have basically become the equivalent of a child bashing their action figures together. All semblance of nuance and seriousness in the setting and world building is gone, in favor of having these distinct characters that people will hopefully connect with enough to want to play dress up with them. And it's not like it's all cosmetic and only affects the set dressing either. Having factions with their own unique uniforms means that visibility was an important thing and you had to know what your enemy looked like. Modern day shooters have to add a red icon or an outline, or stupid Gears of War lights in the uniforms that have no logical purpose other than to tell the other people that all look virtually the same. This one is shining red though, shoot this one. Not being a class or an archetype also affects how people perceive their role in the teams. I don't have a psychological study to back this up, but I'm willing to bet that the issue with medics not reviving their allies is not just a lack of awareness or selfishness, it's because they're not playing as the medic, they're playing as Temu PewDiePie. And of course, these characters come with all the flavors of AAA gaming bullcrap we've come to know and hate. During your time in the game's dozens of terribly designed menus, you'll be constantly reminded that you have unclaimed prices, and how much you have advanced your battle pass, and the cool new thingy you unlocked last match, and where you can get more of these things and how much they will cost you. I'm gonna ask you, dear viewer, something from the bottom of my heart, and I promise you this isn't just engagement farming. If you're watching this and like that these games nowadays do this, if you love your sanitized, goofy, Marvel movie inspired characters with their silly one-liners and their fancy costumes, please take a minute to tell me why in the comments. How does it make you feel? Do you spend any money on cosmetics? How old are you? Is it a generational thing? Okay, rant over. Now let me tell you why I sincerely want this game to be a big hit. There comes a time in the life of every Battlefield and or Call of Duty fan where they have to decide if they want to continue to spend $60 to $70 per year to get your fix, or put that money into something more useful or worthwhile. Some time ago I decided to do the latter, but when I feel like playing one of these games, boy do I need to get my fix. It can't all be Warhammer and strategy games. So, with time, I have become something of a connoisseur of shitty free-to-play shooters. Ironside, Caliber, Shatterline, X-Defiant, World War III, Combat Master. Just to name a few, I have tried them all, and let me tell you, none of them capture the feel of the thing that inspired them quite like Delta Force does. Like I said, this game does a pretty good job at copying the worst Battlefield dice and EA have put out. And all of the shitty things that plague modern gaming, and specifically modern military shooters, are here in spades. However, the fact that not only this game has an impressive amount of passion and effort put into it, but it's also free and not pay to win, means that I honestly want it to be a success. This might be me inhaling dangerous amounts of copium, but my genuine hope is that if Delta Force makes it and makes it big, it will set a precedent. And that precedent will be, if you're gonna make a AAA team-based shooter and you wanna charge $69.99 for it, it has to be better than this. Think about it, if Delta Force is a hit, EA and DICE will probably think they can't fumble it quite like they did with 2042, right? I don't know, it does sound a bit like a lot of wishful thinking now that I say it out loud. I do have a couple other grievances, but these I really don't know if they're actual issues with the game or I'm just getting too old for this shit. TTK is the main one. I get the feeling that they were trying to go for a more Call of Duty style TTK, and while that isn't necessarily a bad thing, with Battlefield inspired gameplay there could be up to 32 players aiming at you. Also, I'm not in love with the maps. In fact, there is one in particular that I hate with every fiber of my being. I have never felt the need to Alt F4 during a loading screen in all my years of gaming. If you play it, prepare for a never-ending parade of blind firing through smoke and the beautiful sound of constant grenade explosions. In any case, those are my thoughts on Delta Force. Neat little free game, plays and runs well, and it's fun. Play it if you want, but be mindful of all the crap that comes with it. I almost forgot to mention that there's apparently a campaign coming based around the actual events that transpired in Somalia back in the 90s. By the teaser they released, it seems very grounded and authentic. Honestly, if this is gonna be the MO of these devs, use the goofy multiplayer to fund single player that takes itself seriously, then it's fine by me, go ahead. Knock yourselves out. Let the kids have their skins. Thank you very much for watching. Consider liking and subscribing if you like this video. I honestly don't have the nerve to tell you to subscribe for upcoming content after the year I just had. I can only promise you, I'm doing my best. I have to go now. Mainly because this really is the worst map I've ever had the misfortune of playing in. Do yourself a favor, if you're gonna play, avoid this map like the plague.